What do you do when somebody criticizes you? What do you do when somebody says really bad things about you that are not true? Or what if somebody says negative things about you and they are a family member, a friend, or even your partner? What can you do in situations like that? Find out in this video. Hello home bosses, my name is Nouri Yacobi and welcome to my channel, which is all about helping you make money online. But today is Monday, so today is another motivational video where we talk about things like finding motivation, inspiration, and today what to do when we are being criticized. Criticism is always hard to take. When somebody says something negative about us, it makes us feel bad. There is no other way to deal with it. We do feel bad because we're human. But what I want to say to you is that there are ways to deal with this in a better way so that you don't have to think about this criticism day after day and let it get you down. The worst thing that you can do is to let this criticism affect you, because sometimes when people are criticizing you, it's not really about you, it's about them, and that is not a reason to bring you down. So how do we deal with criticism? First of all, let's just see what types of criticism there are. There is good criticism, which is constructive feedback, and it helps you because you can improve and you can get better by avoiding the things, and that is usually the case when you can recognize that the criticism is true or is justified. But there are also other types of criticism, and that can be just plain rude, or it can be negative, or it can be without a reason or without a base. So sometimes people just criticize other people for absolutely no real reason, and a lot of times that is because the people that are criticizing are frustrated or they have fears that they don't know how to deal with themselves. So a lot of times people criticize people that are successful and that are making money, and usually the people that criticize those kind of people, they lack that in their lives and they feel frustrated. They feel that if they can't do the same thing, then the other person that is making all this money or that is being successful is just faking it. And that is a way for them to make themselves feel better, because then they feel that they're not doing anything wrong and they've done everything they can do. Because imagine this, imagine that you've worked really, really hard and you've tried all different things and you still haven't made it. You haven't had the success that you were expecting. And then you read or you see another person who's very successful. They haven't done anything that you haven't done, or so you think. And how does that make you feel? You feel that your effort has been in vain, but that can't be right because you've worked so hard. The reality must be that this person is faking it. How can they be so successful when you have done exactly the same things and you're not as successful as them? So this is how sometimes people talk themselves into the belief that the successful person is faking it, or they must have done something that is not legal or that is not right. So they think of that person as somebody who is different, who isn't what they claim to be, because that is the only way they can explain that success in somebody else which they haven't received themselves. There are other reasons as well, but that tends to be a very common reason that I find over and over again. And we've all done it. We are all guilty of thoughts like that, and anybody who thinks that they haven't done this, maybe dig a little bit deeper and you can see that we have all done it. I've done it myself. I've seen people that are very successful and I thought to myself, they were lucky, or they have done something that's not quite right, or they found a shortcut, or someone must have helped them. I'm guilty of that. I have thought about things like that, but then I quickly remind myself that I'm not hurting the other person by thinking that. I'm hurting myself. So the people who are criticizing other people, the damage is really done to themselves, not to the other person. But when you are the person who is being criticized, you also hurt, because it's not nice to hear things like that when you've worked really hard and you've done everything that you could do to achieve what you have achieved, and then someone comes along and says that you've been cheating, or you are faking it, or you were just lucky. So it doesn't make us feel very good. And unfortunately, especially if you are online and you face the public and people can see what you're doing online, there will be criticism. It can't be avoided, because there are lots and lots of different people in this world, and everybody deals with their lives in a different way. And for some people that means that they criticize other people. And that is why it's so important not to let it affect you, because what they say is nothing to do with you. It's a reflection on them and their lives and what is going on in their lives. You have your own life, and whatever anybody thinks shouldn't affect you. There is a really good quote online, and some people say that it's by Aristotle. Some people dispute that, but whoever said it first, it is so true. And that quote is, "There is only one way to avoid criticism. Do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing." And that is the truth. To avoid criticism, you should just be hiding somewhere. Because if you are in front of people, they will criticize you. There's no way to avoiding it. But the thing that you can do is to protect yourself from feeling bad about criticism. Now, it's okay if a stranger criticizes you, because it's easier to brush that off. It's easier to think, okay, it's about them. But what if it's a family member or a friend or your partner? Recently, I have been reading about a lot of women, for example, that are creating a business online, and some of them are saying that their partner doesn't really understand what they're doing, and that they want them to get a proper job, a real job, and they're not very understanding of what they're doing online, because we all know that when you start a business online, it takes time for the results to show, and sometimes it can take months. And families are under pressure to create an income. Everybody needs to earn money to live and to buy food and to bring up your children. And especially when women want to create an online business, it can be very hard if they're not producing anything to begin with. And not just women, men as well. If a man is trying to produce something online and making a business out of it, and it's not producing, that is a lot of pressure on the family, on a marriage, on a partnership, and people can be very harsh sometimes. But I want you to know that if your husband or your wife or your friend or your parents, if anybody says to you, you should really give up and you should start a proper job, or you should get a job with the government, or you should, the kind of things that family and friends can say to you, what they are really doing is they're caring about you. They're caring about how you feel, and they see you struggling, and they don't want you to struggle, of course, and they want you to be successful and produce something straight away, because having a business online can be very unstable at the beginning. It can feel very unsafe. It doesn't give you confidence straight away. So there's a lot of uncertainty to deal with at the beginning, and your friends, your family, your partners can see that, and they want to protect you from that. So most of the time when they are criticizing you, please know that it comes from a good place. It comes from a place where they want to show that they care about you and they want to give you their best advice. But when someone gives you advice, it's usually advice that is good for themselves. They are not you, so the advice that they give is usually something that they would do, but that doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing. So you have to be very strong in yourself and say, right, I'm going to continue. And one really good way to become stronger is to surround yourself with people that encourage you. I'm very lucky because my family, everybody in my family is very encouraging. But I understand that if you don't have that, it's very, very hard. And the way you can surround yourself with encouraging people is to join groups and places where people think in the same way that you think, and people that are maybe going through the same things that you are going through. So, for example, you could join our Facebook group, the Home Boss group, because everybody in that group has got the same goals. We're all doing the same thing. We're trying to create an online business and earn money from home, and we know what it's like. I'm sure that everybody has the same sort of problems. Some obviously have more problems than others, but we can all understand what everybody is going through. So it's very helpful to join a group like that. It can be our group, the Home Boss group, or it can be any other group where people are trying to do the same thing that you are trying to do. And you can get a lot of support in groups like that. So if anybody criticizes you and doesn't understand what you're doing, don't let it be a reflection on you. It's not a reflection on you, it's a reflection on the person who is criticized. I guess the main thought that I want to leave you with is, don't become a victim, because the minute you think of yourself as a victim, then you are a victim. So don't think of yourself as a victim. Think of yourself as a strong person who is doing something that not everybody can do, because they are not strong enough. Because if you are strong enough and you continue in your journey and you continue producing and you continue believing that you can do it, then you will succeed. But if you think that you can't, then you can't. You can't succeed if you think that way. If you think of yourself as a victim, turn it around. Turn it around. You're not a victim. You are a business person. You're trying to produce something, and you're going to produce something that takes time. It takes time to get started. And then when you have that success and you are producing, you will get criticized as well. So whatever you do, you will have to deal with criticism, because if you don't produce, people will say it's not working, you're wasting your time. And when you do produce and you are successful, people will say, you were just lucky, you are faking it. So you have to avoid those kind of people. But if they are close to you, then you can still try and avoid them. The main thing is not to let it affect you. See it as a problem that they have, not you. If you are successful, who has got the problem? Not you. So don't think of it as a problem. You have created something beautiful. You have created something useful. You have created something that not everybody can create. So be proud of yourself and don't take criticism in a bad way. Because once you get people saying that you're faking it and that you were just lucky, that means you've made it. That means that you have reached a place that other people think cannot be obtained. And that is really sad. That is sad for the other person who thinks that. Don't be that person. If you see a person that's successful, be happy for them, because you can achieve the same thing. If you think that they have cheated and they have faked it, you will never get to that place either, because that means that you believe that you can't get to that place, that it can't be achieved. So this is a message for anybody who likes to criticize other people. Look deeper at the reasons why you do that, because it shows that you are not believing that things are possible. And if you are the person who's being criticized, look deeper too. You have achieved an amazing thing, so don't let it get under your skin and don't let it affect your future success, because you will go further and further and further. And the only thing that can hold you back is yourself. So don't become a victim and be strong. And there is another good saying that I found. Some people think it was Benjamin Franklin that said it, and it's any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain. And most fools do. And another similar quote that I found by Dale Carnegie was, any fool can criticize, complain, and condemn, and most fools do. But it takes character and self-control to be understanding and forgiving. So be the person that is understanding and forgiving. Let me know how you deal with criticism. Have you faced criticism? I'm sure we all have. I don't think there's any person who hasn't. And let me know how you deal with it. Do you have other coping strategies? Do you have a really tough skin and you don't let it affect you? Or are you easily offended and easily hurt by criticism? Let me know. And join our Facebook group if you need any support, because we're all there to help and we all understand what it is to run an online business and how difficult it is. So thank you very much for listening. I hope this has motivated you, and continue your journey and be successful. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.